Have you ever woken up on a quiet morning, looked out the window, heard birds chirping somewhere in the treetops, and wondered, since when did this house become so quiet? Not because of the lack of noise, but because of the lack of the feeling that someone was waiting for you to talk. The crisp laughter of your children and grandchildren in the past seems to have been swept away by the years, and what remains is an unknown emptiness. I think anyone who has reached the age of 60 has felt this at some point, the feeling that they are still there, but the world around them is quietly changing. We were all busy people once. We were fathers, mothers, grandparents, running around to take care of every meal, every shirt, every tuition. Then, when the children grew up, each went their separate ways. Some got married, some moved to another state, some were absorbed in their careers. And the distance began to form without us even realizing it. No one intentionally distances themselves from each other. It's just that time and life keep taking people in different directions. But at some point, we suddenly realize family ties are not something that comes naturally. It needs to be nurtured, maintained, and especially needs someone to initiate it. That person could be you, the one who is listening to these words, thinking about how to bring the family closer together, not just through responsibility, but through love and true sharing. And that is also the reason why we are sitting here today, talking about something that seems simple: 5 activities to help the elderly strengthen family ties. Don't rush to think that it's too late, or that your children and grandchildren don't have time. You will be surprised to see that, as long as you stir it up properly, the feelings are always there, just waiting to be awakened. And I hope you'll stick around, because there are some things I've saved for last, things I've experienced myself, and I believe can be a gateway to a warmer chapter in your life. So, let's get started. The first activity, it sounds simple, but it's surprisingly powerful: cooking and eating together. Have you noticed? The best memories in life are often associated with smells. The smell of cookies that Mom used to bake. The smell of hot broth that Dad would wake up early to cook for the family on a winter morning. Or the sound of frying pans clattering during the holidays. Cooking is more than just a job. It's an art, it's a love, it's a way for us to connect with each other without having to say too much. I remember a Harvard University study that said that regular family meals can increase happiness and significantly reduce the distance between generations. No need to have big parties, just one day a week, choose to cook with your children and grandchildren. Maybe cook a traditional dish that only you know how to make. Or simply teach your grandchildren how to roll sushi, grill cheese sandwiches properly. While cooking, tell old stories, stories about when you were a child, stories about your grandparents, about the old neighborhood you lived in. Those are the stories that your children and grandchildren will remember forever, not just the food. Even if your children and grandchildren are far away, technology can completely become a bridge. Try organizing an online cooking session, turn on the camera, make something simple together via Zoom or FaceTime. You do it on one side, they do it on the other, then laugh together when the dish fails or looks funny. That is the connection. Sometimes, the goal is not to make delicious food, but to do it together, laugh together, and be in an intimate time frame. You can expand those cooking sessions into a regular activity, a family weekend. Maybe the first Sunday of every month, you make a traditional pumpkin soup, and your grandchild shows off his or her dessert skills. Sit around the table, put your phones away. Those moments are healing for you and for your family. And from those cozy meals, a second activity can arise very naturally: planting trees or gardening together. Don't be quick to think that planting trees is only for those who live in the suburbs or have large gardens. Even a small balcony, a potted plant outside the window, or a mini vegetable box is enough to turn into a family bonding activity. Children love to become little farmers, and adults feel at peace when taking care of something with their own hands. Planting trees with children and grandchildren is not just planting, but also teaching. It is passing on the value of patience, of caring. It is waiting together for the young shoots to sprout, like the way we nurture family affection a little bit each day. In the U.S., there are many Asian families who have kept this habit. I once read a touching story about a 75-year-old woman in Seattle. She didn't speak much English, but she bonded with her grandchildren by growing okra, cherry tomatoes, and cilantro in her backyard. Every week, she took the kids out to the garden, teaching them how to tell the good plants from the bad ones. The kids knew she loved them, not through words, but through her hair strokes, her hands holding each new sprout. After she passed away, the kids were the ones who kept the garden, and every year they held a Grandma's Day to remember her. A garden can be a bridge between generations. And if you've never gardened before, start with a small pot of plants. Invite your kids and grandchildren to choose seeds, monitor their growth, and keep a weekly diary of the growing plants. You'll find that you and your kids have more to say, to share. Love sometimes doesn't need grand words. Just doing something together regularly is enough to nurture a relationship. We have gone through 2 activities together: cooking, bonding through memories and flavors; gardening, bonding through care and patience. And you know what? The next activity will surprise you, because it does not require much preparation, nor does it require any complicated equipment or tools. It only requires one thing: listening. But that will be what I want to tell you in the next part. Because, my friend, I want to ask you one thing. Among the things I have just shared, is there anything that reminds you of a memory in your family? A full meal? A time planting trees with your grandchildren? Or just a peaceful moment with your loved ones that you have never told anyone? If so, please comment below so that I and everyone can listen to your story. Because who knows, that story may inspire others. And who knows, someone might read this and think, oh, I used to be like that. And right after this, I'm going to tell you about a bonding activity that anyone can do, regardless of age, circumstances, or where they live. That is to sit down and really listen to each other. Everyone knows how to listen, but really listening, that's another story. Have you noticed that in this day and age, people talk a lot, but listen very little? When children come home from work, they ask, "How are you, Dad?" but their eyes are still glued to their phones. I'm used to it, so I just smile and say, "Yeah, I'm fine," even though there are days when I don't feel well at all. As for my grandchildren, needless to say, they grew up with YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, and when they hear me tell stories about the past, their eyes become dim. But that's what happens if we let things go. If we create a space to truly listen, things will be different. I once met a 68-year-old man in Texas. He said that after retiring, he felt very lost. His son worked in a bank and was busy all day. His grandson was in 8th grade and loved games more than people. So he came up with a simple idea. Every Friday night, the whole family would turn off the TV, put away their phones, sit around the table, and each person would tell a story from that week. He told me first, small things, like the day he went to the market to meet an acquaintance, or recalled a wartime memory. Then he pointed to his grandchildren. "Did you have anything good today?" At first, the children were shy. But then, when they saw that he was really interested in listening, not criticizing or preaching, they began to open up. He said that those conversations only lasted 20 to 30 minutes, but it was a time more precious than gold. He understood his son better, knew how worried he was about his work. He saw that his grandson was smart, emotional, just lacked someone to talk deeply with. And more importantly, he felt useful, not someone who was forgotten after retirement. I think, what he did, any of us can do. Pick an evening during the week, invite your children and grandchildren to sit down, not all of them, just one person is fine. Then ask gently. Sometimes, just an opening sentence can make the whole evening warmer than you think. And during those listening sessions, if you have a habit of taking notes, congratulations, you have reached the 4th activity, rewriting family memories. Have you ever thought that the memories in your head about your childhood, about your parents, about the years of war, migration, hardship, are priceless legacies that if you don't write them down, no one will know about them anymore? Our descendants may not remember everything, but if you have a notebook, a document, or a small memoir written by your own hand, that is the most sacred gift. Writing doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be literary, with fancy words. It just has to be real and yours. You can start with simple lines like, "In 1975, I was 15 years old. That day was a rainy day, and my mother packed me a lunchbox to go to school. Those little stories will be treasures for the next generation. If you are too tired to write by hand, you can record them on your phone. Or use a computer to type each story. You can ask your grandchildren to type them for you, both for you to tell and for them to learn how to listen to family history. I once knew a 72-year-old grandfather who told his granddaughter a story every day, and the granddaughter recorded and edited it into a small self-published book, which she gave to the whole family during Tet. Everyone cried after reading it, because they did not expect that their grandfather had experienced so many things. And you know, this activity is not only writing for your grandchildren. It is also writing for yourself. When we write, we have the opportunity to look back and appreciate more what we have been through. Sadness also lightens. Joy comes back to life. Writing is a silent but profound way of healing. And from writing, from retelling stories, will lead to the final activity, an activity that I believe is the most powerful connection, creating new memories together. I know, there are families who live close together but have few memories. And there are people who live thousands of miles apart but are full of memories because they actively create memorable moments together. You can proactively plan short picnics. It doesn't have to be far, just go to the park together, bring some snacks. Or organize a camping trip in the backyard. In the evening, spread out a mat to look at the stars, tell old ghost stories. You will see how excited the children are. Those memories will be engraved in their minds, more than expensive gifts or toys. Or if conditions do not allow for much travel, you can still create home memories by playing traditional games such as chess, dominoes, and three-card poker, teaching the children how to play, how to calculate, both training their memory and bonding. Or even organize a no-phone day every month. The whole family just focuses on each other. No emails. No social networks. Just real people and real feelings. Because in the end, what makes us feel warm in the future is not how many times we worry about money for our children or how many gifts we give them, but how many times we are truly present, how many times we make people see having grandparents, having parents is wonderful. And you know, you still have time to do that. Starting this week. Starting today. If these things are close to your heart, then try to choose one activity, just one, and start this week. Then you will see, with just a small action from you, your family will warm up little by little. The same goes for feelings, which are resown, resprouted, like trees in the garden, like fire in the kitchen, like love in the heart. In the last part of today's video, I will share with you some touching stories from seniors who have successfully brought their families back together, despite having been apart for a while. These stories will not only bring tears to your eyes, but will also motivate you to take action now, before it's too late. I want to start this last part with a story that I once read in a newspaper for seniors. The story is about a 75-year-old mother living in California. She has 3 children, each with their own business, scattered all over the place. For many years, she lived alone in a small house. During holidays and Tet, if lucky, one child would come home. The rest were just hasty calls, a few questions to get it over with. She didn't blame them, but she was sad. And then one day, she sat down, mustered up the courage to write a 5-page handwritten letter, sent to her 3 children. No blame. No anger. Just gentle lines, talking about old memories, talking about the guava tree behind the house that no one climbs to pick anymore, talking about the anniversary of her grandfather's death. Only she set out the meal and sat there lighting incense. And she wrote, "I don't need much. I just want to see all my children and grandchildren together once, even if it's just one day a year." That letter made all 3 children unable to hold back their tears. They called each other. They made plans. And for the first time in 12 years, the whole family gathered together in a small kitchen with a simple meal and the cheerful laughter of 3 generations. From then on, every year, they set a fixed date. No one was allowed to be absent. The story of that mother reminds me of one thing. Sometimes, just one person starts, everything will change. And you can be that person. I remember an 80-year-old man in Arizona whom I had the opportunity to meet at a seminar. He used to be very angry with his daughter-in-law because he thought that his daughter-in-law did not care, did not understand him, and often said harsh words. The relationship between him and his daughter-in-law was so tense that his grandson was afraid to approach him. But then one day, he read an article that said, understanding others is a blessing, and forgiving others is liberating yourself. So he humbled himself, sat down and talked directly with his daughter-in-law, apologized if he had ever made her sad, and also shared the loneliness of old age. From then on, his daughter-in-law began to change her behavior. Her grandson became closer to him. The whole family had more meals together than the first picnic in many years. And when telling the story, the old man only said a very gentle sentence that I will never forget: old people are often afraid of being left behind. But it turns out, when you open your heart, others also come closer to you. I tell these stories not to make you sad, but to show you that any distance can be bridged if there is a brave person to open it. Maybe you are in your 60s, 70s, even 80s. Maybe your children are busy, indifferent, or you yourself have hurt someone in the family. But don't think it's too late to mend. Because just a phone call, an apology, a memorable dish, a handwritten letter, you can open the door of connection that you thought was locked for so long. Try sitting down today, writing a list. What can you do in the next week to reconnect with someone in the family? It could be cooking your child's favorite dish. It could be video calling to catch up. It could be opening an old photo album to tell a story. Or simply saying, Daddy misses you. Daddy wants us to spend more time together. No one can refuse a sincere heart, especially the heart of parents and grandparents. As long as you start with your heart, everything that follows will come with love. And if there are times when you feel discouraged and lonely, remember, you are not the only one trying. There are many elderly people like you who are learning to say love again, who are bravely healing the distances in their own families. You are not alone in this journey. Families do not need to be perfect. They just need enough love to not abandon each other. And sometimes, you, the one who seems to have stepped back, are the guiding light for your children and grandchildren to return. Thank you for listening until the last seconds of today's video. If you find what I share meaningful, and if you believe that these little stories and sincere suggestions can help someone feel warmer, please like this video. It's a simple way for me to know that I'm on the right track. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos, where we will still talk, share, and accompany each stage of life after the age of 60. Each subscription is not just a number, but a promise that we will continue together on the journey of living happily, living healthily, and living meaningfully. And if you want to share your own feelings, stories, or simply a message to someone in the family, please leave a comment below. I read every line you leave, and each line is an important part of the warm community that we are building together. Wishing you a peaceful day, a home filled with laughter, and a heart filled with the knowledge that you are not alone. Goodbye and see you in the next videos.